off-wheels coverage of the 2023 PCA Convention and Trade Show is brought to you by Rocky Patel.
Hi everyone, my name is Charlie Minato, and I'm here in Dallas, Texas. To my right, although it looks like below me on the screen, is Brooks Whittington. How are you doing, Brooks?
Doing great.
I think that despite the warning, the mic is not actually muted. So, this is the first of 4 preview shows that we are doing ahead of the 2023 PCA Convention and Trade Show, which takes place July 8th through 11th. I guess technically July 7th through 11th. In Las Vegas, Nevada. And it is the cigar industry's most important event of the year, particularly for those that are in the industry. And we do these shows, I don't know how long we've been doing them now, but it's a sort of annual tradition ahead of the PCA Convention and Trade Show for consumers. This is a time when there's going to be a lot of new products. And so if you're into new cigars, new cigar accessories, it might be something worthwhile for you to pay attention to. If you're in the industry, you've probably heard about PCA, and maybe you're even going, and so this will serve as a nice little primer. We're going to kind of set the table and, yeah, do that. All right. Oh, yeah, so title of the show is called What is PCA 2023, in case you were unaware. All right. Yeah, so we have 4 shows. And here's the schedule of them. I was really thinking that slide about what we were smoking is before this, but I guess not. So next week we'll have a lame duck show, ? And then not sure what we're doing on the 16th. And on the 23rd we'll do the annual 10 products, so probably 5 from Brooks, 5 from me. Maybe Patrick LaGreed will stop by one of these shows. I don't know. Maybe you'll get out of doing one of them, Brooks, I guess is a better way of putting it. Maybe I'll get out of doing one of them. But we will have a show where 2 of us describe some products, cigars, or cigar accessories that we are looking forward to at some point. All right, Brooks.
All right. So I am smoking a Casa Cuba Divine Inspiration. One of the better Vitolas in that line as far as I'm concerned.
And
Charlie, what are you smoking?
Yeah, I'm smoking an Alfonso. I don't think the one that was our cigar of the year last year.
I don't believe it is.
Apparently they can't hear you.
I need to be louder.
Fucking my dream. Let's see. You are.
What did you say?
Said my fucking dream. It's very weird that you're the one that's low. I don't know. That seems very suspicious.
Sounds like the mic is not working at all.
All right.
Well, I can assure you it is. How about now?
You know, it wouldn't be a good show.
Swing low.
Keep trying.
Sweet chariot.
I don't understand why my mic was.
Coming forth to carry me home.
So, now that we hopefully
Thanks.
have that resolved, yeah, let's find that. Still difficult to believe, but let's go.
As long as it works, buddy.
Yeah. So,
Did you say what you were smoking specifically?
I don't know what size it is.
Oh, all
But
right.
the Alfonso Extra Añejos, I think the number 2.
Is that the one we accidentally? Oh.
Yeah, that's the one I accidentally purchased.
So we purchased a box of these things for the top 25, and because we had a box because it got number 1, and we purchased a box of them, and apparently purchased the wrong box, so we had to purchase another box. So we get free Alfonso cigar. Well, not free. We had to pay for them, but
not free.
we definitely get to smoke them. So that's nice.
$1,000 mistake.
All right.
Quite the opposite of free. All right, so Brooks, what is PCA 2023?
So for those who don't know, so those may be joining in and not necessarily aware of everything having to do with the industry. The PCA 23 is a convention and a trade show. It's put on by the Premium Cigar Association. Now, it takes place every year, COVID notwithstanding. And while it's been hosted in numerous locations over the years, and has had many different names. The most frequent location that it's held at has been Las Vegas, and that's where it's being held this year as well. Now, people must be members of the PCA in order to attend, and it's primarily a selling show for retailers, where manufacturers show off and sell new products and new releases. They sell existing releases as well. But it's primarily used as a selling show for retailers to come in and buy product from specific manufacturers. Now, consumers are not allowed, although PCA did put forth a plan a couple of years ago to add a day when consumers would be able to walk around the trade show floor and talk to manufacturers. That was eventually scrapped. So it's just for retailers, members of the association, to go around and buy product for the most part.
Sorry, I was dealing with
It's quite all right.
more microphone issues. Did we already do this?
Nope. Yep.
Yeah, that sounded like that's what you were
Yeah. No, that's taken care of.
Already did that too?
Yeah, I did that too.
All right.
And that too.
We're going to have to sit through this video then. You want to narrate what's going on here?
This is a booth that was supposed to be showed while I was talking. This is a Rocky Patel booth. Some of these booths are really, really large. Some of them not so much, depending on the size of the company and that kind of thing. Rocky Patel's is one of the largest and very, very well laid out and very nice booth. As you can see, with plenty of people around, checking things out and seeing things and all that.
Yeah, this is a very, very different booth with these displays. Hey, there's Rocky.
Hey.
With these displays in the middle, but you can see them, and this is all, I think, existing product. They typically put their newer products. That DBS may have been new that year. This was last year, I think. That humidor was new. Maybe White Label was not new last year. But you can see some of the other booths around it.
As a news.
Rocky's booth's one of the more fun ones. They hire a singer who's performing, and usually have some other musicians as well. And then they have a bar, so you can get beer on tap. You can see some beer right there. But certainly one of the livelier booths, and probably more seating area in this booth than any of the other booths that I can think of at the trade show. With that said, that's not Brian Burt. It's like, I think Brian Burt was the one that filmed that.
He did. And thank you, Brian Burt, for filming that.
So, why should you care? And I think it's a legitimate question. So, if you're in the industry, this is a lot easier. I think there are kind of three main reasons. If you're a retailer, the primary reason I think why most retailers go to this trade show is because typically these are the best discounts of the year that they're going to get from cigar companies. 10, 15 years ago, it used to kind of be, for a lot of companies, the only time of year that they would get any substantial discounts. But that has since changed, and now we see it not necessarily like you have to be here to get the discount. It tends to be that there's kind of like a month of discounts. So you don't necessarily need to go to Las Vegas to get said discounts. On the flip side, if you're a cigar manufacturer or accessory manufacturer, somebody that sells products to retailers, this is a great time. It can be, I guess, because you would expect with those heavy discounts that you would get substantial orders. And for a lot of companies, July is the number one month in terms of revenue of the year because of the discounting and then the volume order that comes associated with that. Now, with that said, it's not all great because a lot of retailers will try to take advantage of the discounts by not buying very many cigars in, say, the month of June or the month of August or the month of September. They will try to load up and take advantage of getting that heavier discount in July. And so it creates a bit of a weird scenario. And I think for some companies, it's probably not like terribly advantageous the way it ends up playing out. But certainly retailers can take advantage if they're smart, if they have the cash flow to do so. Number two is new products, as I mentioned sort of at the top. That's the reason why we go to this trade show primarily and why we spend so much time and energy covering it.
And money.
Is because of the amount of new products that are there. And we're going to go over some of them later today. The third one, which is not talked about as much, but I do think is a really big thing, is that this is the largest gathering of the premium cigar industry. Certainly the largest gathering of the American premium cigar industry, but I think it's still larger than either the Helanas Festival or Intertabac, which would be sort of the competing events internationally to this. And you can see a lot of people, and that's one of the reasons why we go as well. And so I do think that for a lot of attendees, that FOMO / getting to see people but just kind of hanging out at bars, hanging out at Casa Fuente, going to restaurants, those sorts of things, it ends up being a pretty big draw because the truth be told, you could sit at your store if you were a retailer and email in your orders, text in your orders, etc., and get most of the discounts and get most of the new products and things like that. And so I do think that person-to-person interaction is should get more credit than it a lot of times does. Now, Brooks, if you're a consumer, should you care?
You should absolutely care, but this was your thing. Okay.
Are you not capable of handling this?
You know, why have a run through? Okay, yeah. So if you're a consumer, you should absolutely care because this is where the new products are.
I can't wait to the end of this.
This is where the new products are released every year. A lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them. And, you know, for the most part, historically, these has been where the most important releases of the year have been released. Last year was the Fuente Padron collaboration. And
it was on display.
It was on
Release
display.
is an interesting way of describing that.
On display. This is absolutely, you know, the coverage that we do is important to bring, you know, the information to y'all. And so as a consumer, this is a show that you guys absolutely would probably want to check out since, you know, they definitely have a lot of new releases. Now, if you're somebody who smokes primarily, you know, one cigar and one blend that something like Padron, for example, that doesn't actually release a lot of new stuff, then, you know, maybe not tune it out. But everybody else, if you just enjoy new releases, or if you know, kind of a nerd like most of us here, then you know, this is a good thing to have.
You know, one thing we
for
didn't
you
discuss either right now or during the walkthrough, you also, like, if you would like, you can get a whole bunch of free cigars. They may not be the best cigars in the world because it's super dry, and a lot of these cigars, quite frankly, are rushed, the show samples. But like, if you were into just sort of like showing up and collecting a whole bunch of cigars, it's possible to get a bunch of them. I don't think it's economically like necessarily a win. You still have to go to Las Vegas and stay in Las Vegas and pay to show up at the trade show and be in the industry, etc. But it is true. Excuse me. Not so much for us anymore.
That's why I go for the free cigars.
But you can, you know, if you wanted to, you could walk out with hundreds of cigars. Or you could steal them, one of the two. All right, so Brooks alluded to it earlier, but the PCA is not just a trade show. It is more than just a trade show. Am I supposed to cut this?
Yes.
I think so. All right, well, but it's important,
But never mind.
It's important to understand that
Forget you saw that.
there is more to the PCA than just the trade show. It is a retailers membership group, a nonprofit, and the proceeds from the trade show eventually go back to funding lobbying and legislative fights. At some point soon, we'll probably have an article about kind of what the state of that funding of legal and lobbying is. I will say this. You will hear people talk about, in regards to the trade show, that you need to go to support the industry and things like that. I don't really think that is true at this point. Like, there is just not much of the proceeds from the trade show are actually seemingly ending up going to the legal and lobbying fight. You would be far better just writing the PCA a check or writing the CRA a check, because they have a substantial amount of overhead. When you go to the trade show, like we have a booth on the trade show floor, very little of the money that we spend at the trade show, like less than probably 10%, goes to the PCA. Most of it goes towards other vendors, whether that's the people that sell us the furniture rental for the booth, or whether that's the physical structure for the booth, or whether that's American Airlines to get to Las Vegas, or restaurants, or the Venetian, the hotel that we stay at. Very, very little of it ends up going to the PCA. And so this sort of idea that you need to be there to support the industry, I think is not, it is true that the proceeds do go. It's just a very small amount of them compared to kind of the guilt trip that I think gets tried a lot of times. So now that we've got that out of the way, Brooks.
Yes.
What are the changes for PCA 2023 compared to last year?
So one of the bigger changes is something that you can see right here on the map. And if you look at the map, you'll see in this top right-hand corner-ish, you know, you can see an area called the BCA Pavilion. And this is one of the new additions to the trade show, as I mentioned. The BCA stands for Boutique Cigar Association, and this is a separate organization from the PCA. And the pavilion is shared space made up of 16 booths for BCA members that are smaller than what's normally sold for the PCA show. Now, this new addition kind of seems to be knocking off this very successful idea that's been in place at the TPE show, trade show in recent years, which is also held in Vegas. However, there are two main differences between the PCA version and the TPE version. First, TPE version of this is actually located in the front of the trade show floor near the main entrance. So people who are walking by and entering, they don't have a choice but to actually see it and walk through it. And maybe not walk through it, but they have to see it. The PCA version is off in some corner, and it's easily ignored, probably, or maybe even missed entirely. Second issue the PCA version has of this is the fact that it's filled with smaller companies that some people have perhaps never heard of, and the TPE version actually has some larger companies involved in it. Somebody like Aganor's Elif, PDR, and Crown Heads at times. This gives retailers a reason to actually show up to this specific pavilion instead of just having it full of these smaller companies that may or not have actually ever heard of. There's a reason that the grocery stores put things like milk and eggs in the way back of the store. They know most people have to get those, and so they have everything in front of them, so they walk through it to get to those staples. And PCA should probably think about moving this thing closer to the front and filling it with people, some companies that might actually draw some consumer.
No, because if you move it to the front, then it probably doesn't matter who's in it.
You don't think so?
If they put it right next to the entrance like TPE does, you're going to walk by it regardless.
I have seen some booths near the entrance that nobody goes to. So
but you at least have to walk by it.
Yes, true.
That's the difference here.
So,
is that
but regardless of that, I think that it would be a good idea for, as you said, PCA to put it right there in the front.
You're not going to put larger companies there because the whole reason of having this is to have smaller booths inside of it. So, like, you couldn't put Aganorsa. I don't know how large these booths are, but they're less than 10 by 10s. Like, I don't think you would want,
That's a fair point.
Yeah, if these are like 8 by 8 booths, there's like I don't think
it'd be helpful to know how big they were.
Like HVC has got more than a 10 by 10. They can't go in the BCA pavilion. So,
but that is only one of the differences.
Yeah, but I do think the other thing pointing out here is like these are a whole bunch of companies that are exhibiting. I'm guessing that very few of them have ever been exhibitors before. Casa Caraballo has been one. Supreme Tobacco Haiti has been one. I would assume Cafe has been one. I believe the CS Cigars family and loyalty people have been there. GTO probably. I forget about SZ, but like I don't think Ferrera Cigars. I don't think Conscious Cigars.
Look, it's a good idea, and I actually love the idea. But yeah, putting it on the corner down back there, way back there is.
Apparently, I still can't hear me. Which I don't really understand. But
well, my voice is.
Don't understand.
Loud regardless. That really should be the other way. Charlie should be quite a bit louder than mine.
Yeah, but I just don't.
Louder personality than I do.
They still can't hear you.
You can read my lips?
I don't think so.
On the tick.
What's weird though is that. Which is why I'm really struggling to figure out why it's. I mean, now it's not even like.
John, are you?
So your microphone's working.
Are you volunteering to be the sound guy? turn yours up.
Yeah, but it's like still not even.
That's why we're all here, John.
I'm also just trying not to shock them, but it's not even moving.
They switch another channel.
Sometimes do.
When in doubt.
Nope. That would be why. Let's see. Can we hear me?
Don't touch, he says.
Yeah, but it's.
It doesn't matter if they can hear you. Right? I mean.
I don't know if they can though. I mean, but it's not even registering over there. That's what leads me to concern.
You're not talking loud enough. That's the problem.
I don't think that's entirely the issue. All right, is that better? No. Better?
So let me tell you about my dream.
Let's not do that.
There got to be a problem with the mic end.
I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it's completely shot here.
Mitch says no, he does not want to hear about my dream.
All right. Let's. I don't know. What's weird is it went out in the middle of the show though.
You could switch mics.
With a what mic?
You could have my mic.
No, I think at this point we just call it. They have questions for you?
All right. How about a question? Let's go.
There's a question on there for you.
Oh. Wear the same shoes every year, John. Every year. But I can't pronounce the name of it, so I'm not going to try. Because I just sound like more of a moron than I already sound like on a regular basis. The Hawaiian ones.
Can you?
Is the shoes.
No, can you stop talking for a second? Here?
Yes, I can. I mean, I guess. Maybe.
No, it's not going to work because I mean, it's picking up something, but just not very much of it.
Maybe
How about now?
Yeah.
I'm just concerned I'm going to blow it out.
I wonder if Coops has these problems.
I mean, he does like 7 podcasts a week. I would hope at some point he's got it figured out. All right. I think I may have blown the microphone given where the knobs are turned at, but let's see if I can make this work. Going forward.
And we're back.
Let me just one more.
I really wanted to tell my dream. See, I was on Oprah's couch.
All right. So, now that we got our probably first of many technical issues out of the way, or probably not out of the way would be my guess. But, yeah, so the other major change to the trade show floor are the quote-unquote returns of Altatis, Drew Estate, and STG. For those of you that are unaware, those are 3 of, I would say, 5 of the largest companies in the cigar business. Those 3, with the addition of Davidoff, announced ahead of the 2020 trade show, which was canceled due to the COVID pandemic. Those 4 companies announced that they would not be exhibiting at the 2020 trade show, which never happened, so they definitely didn't exhibit. They had issues or have issues with the PCA as an organization, with the trade show, all sorts of other things. You can read a lot more about that on halfwheel.com without audio issues. And some of them have been back, and some of them are coming back this year. So we'll start alphabetically here with Altatis. Altadis is back for the first time since 2019. Not in the same way that they were there in 2019. They have 3 sort of smaller booths as opposed to their normal 1 large booth that they used to have. My understanding is it's the same setup they used at TPE, which Brooks mentioned a little while ago. Interestingly, at TPE, they typically have a experiential type thing. So like one year they had a golf simulator. I think you were there for that year.
I love the golf simulator. It allowed me to fail in
cool. And then last year they
different way.
This past year they had something that would be super useful for you, Brooks. They had a barber on site. Yeah, so I don't know if they're going to bring a barber or the golf simulator or something else to the trade show booth, but there's static clicking. Huh. I think we may just have to...
You're okay. You're fine.
To live... Well, I know why, but...
You smack it.
That may be the answer at this point. I mean, my microphone is killed.
It works with a wife.
Jesus. All right. Drew Estate is not back this year, but there will be some Drew Estate employees on the trade show floor. There is a Hoya de Nicaragua, which is distributed in the U.S. by Drew Estate. They have their own booth this year. Hoya has not been at the trade show since 2019. Typically in the U.S., they are part of Drew Estate's setup. But they wanted to have a booth this year, so Hoya has their own booth, and Drew Estate is sending some employees. My understanding is that Drew Estate will not take orders for any Drew Estate products at the trade show, and there won't be any on display, so there will be Hoya product, and you will be able to place orders for Hoya products, but other than that, you cannot allegedly place orders for Drew Estate's products. STG is the parent company of General Cigar Company, whose brands include in the U.S., Cohiba, La Gloria Cubana. They also distribute CAO, Macanudo, and I feel like I'm probably missing one of the bigger ones here. Anyway, and they also have another distribution company called Forged, and Forged is now the new distributor of Alec Bradley, which SCG purchased earlier this year in a deal valued at $72.5 million. Forged also distributes some of the other parts of the portfolio, so the Chillin' Moose, popular sort of value price cigar, Diesel. I forget the sort of legacy brands that fall under there. Hoyo may be under Forge. I forget at this point. But anyway, SCG has been at this trade show now. This will be the 2nd consecutive year, because last year they purchased Room 101, which is also distributed by Forge. Shortly before the trade show, Room 101 had a booth, and so they used the booth. It was branded as Room 101, but there was STG employees in the booth. You could place orders for other things other than just Room 101. And this year, after they purchased Alec Bradley had a booth that they had reserved, and STG has decided to use that booth for Forged. I don't know if you'll be able to place orders for Macanudo, right? Like if you just are like, hey, I need 2 boxes of Macanudo Inspirato, if they'll let you.
No, I don't want any of that Alec Bradley. Give me the Macanudo.
But you will definitely be able to place orders for Alec Bradley, Room 101, Chillin' Moose, Diesel, and the rest of the Forge portfolio, because that's why they will be there. I think it would be not accurate to say that STG is back this year. I think that it would be accurate to say that STG was back last year. Davidoff, nowhere to be found on this map. They are not exhibiting at the 2023 trade show. So those are the major changes for the trade show. And I think we're going to switch it up this year. So for these live shows, we're going to have no video, but just audio. Whoa. The Ducati repair shop down the road seems to be testing out a motorcycle. So one of the other reasons as to why the trade show might matter to you as a consumer is that there are some PCA exclusive products. As a consumer, you might be familiar with another acronym for another cigar trade group called TAA, the Tobacconist Association of America. And TAA has an exclusive series of cigars. I think there's more than a dozen companies that made cigars this year for TAA. I think the most famous of the TA releases is Taiwan's longstanding series that began back in 2011, I think. Because it was after the pork tenderloin, so it couldn't have been 2010.
2011.
Yeah. Or maybe 12.
It was 2011.
But I think it was 11.
I think it was 11.
Yeah. So there are exclusive items to the PCA. Only the Taiwahe, I think, has been announced to date, which isn't great. I said this last year. I'll repeat it if my microphone is working. These items should be announced in May, like early May. Retailers make decisions about going to the trade show, I'm guessing, not next week or the week after. Last year, for example, the Fuente Padron Legends release, there was a press release that came out confirming that would be at the trade show. It came out, I believe, 2 days before the trade show. All of us were already in Las Vegas when that press release arrived. So there should be more exclusive items. I know there are more exclusive items, but we haven't been able to report on them yet. At some point, we will do more of that. But I do think that if you're going to use these exclusive items as a carrot to get retailers to show up, which is what they're there for, then you should announce them with enough time that retailers can plan on whether or not they now want to go. Otherwise, this is kind of just a weird, unnecessary hoop for a lot of these products. So now we're going to do the new products preview, hopefully with less technical issues. Am I first? Yeah. So
You are.
What we're going to do is we're going to talk about 10-ish a week new products. Oh, there's another Ducati. That's one of the smaller ones. And we're going to talk about 10 new-ish products that are debuting in and around the PCA trade show each week. We've written about close to 25 of them to date, but we're not going to go over all 25 because that would take too long.
Thank goodness.
So we're going to start with the Aganorsa Leaf Anniversario Connecticut, and the box looks like that. So this is a new line from Aganorsa Leaf. The Anniversario line is not entirely new. There is the Anniversario Corojo, which used to be the Cas Fernandez Anniversario Corojo, and there's also the Anniversario Maduro, which used to be made in Miami. The Connecticut, like all of the blends now, are made in, or all the Anniversario blends. The Connecticut will be made in Nicaragua, uses an Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapper over a Nicaraguan binder and Nicaraguan fillers. I believe it's offered in 2 sizes, and it will be available. It's one of these sort of quasi-PCA exclusives, so there are 2 ways for retailers to be able to sell these this year. Way number 1 is to place an order at the PCA Convention and Trade Show. And then the second option is if you are an Aganorsa Select account, which is a type of like retail incentive program they've got. If you're a retailer that's part of that program, I guess you don't have to go to the trade show and you can place an order and get these. I believe they're shipping in August. That implies that come 2024, if you were a retailer that did not attend the trade show and or you're not an Aganorsa Leaf Select member, I guess in 2024 you will be able to purchase these.
Great, yeah. So the second one that we're going to talk about is the Alfonso Gran Selección. Now, this is a follow-up release to the Selected Tobaccos Alfonso Extra Añejo, which I believe you're smoking.
I am.
Which incidentally won Half Wheel Cigar of the Year for 2022. Now, like the Alfonso Extra Añejo and the Byron 1850 lines, the Alfonso Gran Selección is aged for a total of 5 years. Part of that process is done in rooms lined with Spanish cedar, where the humidity is increased and decreased throughout the process. Very, very intricate process. The final part of the aging process is done with rooms lined in French oak, which the company actually says was inspired by winemaking. Now, I can tell you that I really, really love the aging process in terms of what the final products tasted like in the Extra Añejo. Definitely something there to it. But this blend specifically of the new Gran Selección is made up of an Ecuadorian Habano wrapper over Peruvian binder and fillers from the Dominican Republic and Nicaragua. Pricing has not been announced yet, but it's said to be similar to the Extra Añejo line, which is priced between $29.99 and $49.99 per cigar. Production is limited to 200 boxes of 25 each size and scheduled to begin shipping in the fall. Oh, I got another one. All right, next up we have the Big Sky Blackfoot. Now, Big Sky is a relatively new company, and they are based in the state of Montana, which is certainly not a normal place for cigar companies to be based in. Great guys. This is the final blend in the company's core Montana River series, which also includes 4 previous releases: Bighorn 2.0, Bitterroot, Madison, and Yellowstone. As is the case with the other blends in the series, Blackfoot gets its name from a river in Montana. In this case, the impetus for the name was taken from Blackfoot River, a famous ribbon trout stream that runs for 75 miles through the western part of the state. Blackfoot is a 6x54 Toro Grande made up of a Mexican San Andreas wrapper covering a binder and filler grown in the Dominican Republic. Cigar will cost $15 and packaged in 20-count boxes. Have you ever been Ribbon trout fishing?
No, have you?
No. I have not.
Also, is a 6x52 a Toro Grande?
I said
Feels
6x54.
I think you said 6x52.
I believe. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Let's go to the replay. No, 6x52 would not be a Toro Grande. But 6x54, it's on the edge.
All right. If I killed my mic again, we will find out. So next up is Casa Caraballo. It appears that I have in fact killed my mic.
I'm really pissed if we have to buy another microphone.
I mean, it's definitely like shot.
You can't just talk louder?
It's all the way up. I mean, it's all right. So
They can't hear you.
sort of. So Casa Caraballo is one of the companies in the Boutique Cigar Association Pavilion. They have, I believe, 3 new lines, and this is the Connecticut one. I believe this is made by Pepito Gomez in Nicaragua, and I believe that Pepito Gomez is also redoing their Tampagnaro blend. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce that with the Tampa plus the Euro part of it. And so Apache is the Connecticut wrap blend that you see there. That'll be new. Tampagnaro, not new, but it's going to get a new blend. The Tampagnaro concept is not new. And then they also have this line, which is being made at a different factory. Interestingly enough, it is being made, so I believe it's the Nella, something? I don't know. Patrick wrote the story. Being made at a different factory, and I do like the faux carbon fiber pattern on the cutter. Oh, Doneta is the name of the line and of the factory, which seems a bit strange that Casa Caraballo is making a cigar named after a factory that's not for it. But I guess General did the same thing with Plasencia back in the day. Well, that's a little bit more confusing. All right. That's Casa Caraballo's.
Just a little bit more confusing.
Yeah.
All right.
Less
So next up,
confusing.
we have the Casa Magna 15th anniversary, or XV if you prefer. Now, 15 years ago,
You have to talk quieter.
What?
You need to talk quieter.
Oh, okay. I don't know that I can do that. 15 years ago, Quesada debuted the Casa Magna line, and it took top spot in CA's Cigar of the Year's awards that year, which I was not aware that it beat out a very good cigar. Charlie told me during the run-through was actually Padron 80th, beat out the Padron 80th for that spot. Now, this release commemorates the 15th anniversary of the line and is made up of a single 6x54 Toro Extra Vitola with an Ecuadorian Habano 2000 wrapper covering Nicaraguan binder and fillers. Now, unlike the original Casa Magna blend, which is made by the Plasencia family in Nicaragua, this limited edition will be made at Quesada's Tabacos de Exportación.
Yeah, Tabadex.
What?
Tabacos
Tabadex.
de
That'd be easier. Tabadex. In the Dominican Republic, the factory. MSRP set at $15 each. Production limited to just 3,500 boxes of 15, although only 500 boxes of those will be sent to Europe, and they are scheduled to ship this summer.
All right, so next up on the list is the Cigar Bros plus Boveda Humidor. You know what I didn't do? I didn't put a picture of what Cigar Bros normal humidors looks like. So Cigar Bros is a very interesting business. They sell cigars to non-traditional retailers. So those would be places like hotels, restaurants, bars, clubs, golf courses, those types of places. Places that want to sell cigars but don't want to necessarily make the investment, both time and money and space, into like building out a walk-in humidor and learning who to buy cigars from and having reps stop by. So instead what they do is they have these electronic humidified cabinets that they will send a retailer. So let's pretend that Brooks is running a hotel. I would not recommend going to Brooks's hotel. But let's say he's running a hotel. Coffee's terrible. And he's got, he's got a little gift shop. He wants to sell cigars.
I have nothing to say to that.
Cigar Bros sends him this electronic cabinet that can display cigars vertically, almost kind of like a cigar vending machine, but it's not a vending machine because it can't handle the financial end of the transaction. So you still need someone to come in and take the cigar out and ring it up and et cetera. but it displays them as if it was a cigar vending machine. Brooks gets the humidor for free, and then he just needs to buy the cigars from Cigar Bros, who I assume marks them up. And Cigar Bros sells cigars from companies that you've heard of. They sell cigars from Altadas and Rocky Patel and I think Drew Estate and Oliva and companies like that, some of them in tubes and some of them not. So that is the business that they have had for the last couple of years. They now have a new business, or a new product, that is completely different. It is still a humidor, except that it is a humidor that's designed for consumers. So this is the Cigar Bros plus Boveda humidor. It is made out of EPP, which is a recycled like foam-like material, extra something propylene. Anyway, and it's interesting material. They say it's food safe, medical safe, so it shouldn't impart any additional aromas. It's super light. It's durable. If you are caring about how environmentally friendly it apparently is 100% recyclable. There are a couple things that I find interesting about the humidor. The first is that it is designed to be, or it can be stacked. So you can see there's like a little inlet kind of cut out or raised out, I guess, in the lid. And also the lid is fully removable, which is a relatively rare feature for humidors. Most traditional wooden humidors don't have this option. And it's got a little cutout at the bottom for a 60-gram standard size Boveda pack. You can see it's got a divider. We're starting to see this, or I'm starting to see this more with humidors, where they're putting like these built-in cubbies essentially for humidification at the bottom. If you are a company that is considering making a humidor like this can work, except you need to have a whole tray system where you can pull out all of the cigars easily to replace the Boveda pack. Because as this currently is going to work, you're going to fill it up, and I think they say it can hold like 60 or 80 cigars, which maybe it can, maybe it can't. But in this configuration, one of the annoying things is going to be if you fill this humidor up and you need to change the Boveda pack or even check on the Boveda pack, you're going to have to move a whole bunch of cigars out of the way. And for the commenters that are saying that it looks like a cheap ice chest, yeah, it's kind of the point here, but I guess it seals well and whatnot.
They want it to look like a cheap ice chest?
Well, no, but I think it's just like, hey, like it's a $50 retail humidor, like that can hold 60 cigars. If it works, you're not going to be able to walk into a cigar shop and buy a $50 humidor that can hold this many cigars. Even like the plastic cigar caddy cases, if you want to get above 15 cigars, you're, I assume, above $50. Like the bigger,
Yes.
certainly the armored humidor,
Yes,
all those
armored.
Pelican case style things, like you can't fit 50 cigars in that, or you can't spend $50 and fit that many cigars. So certainly a cost-effective option. It's an interesting one. I do think, though, that some sort of like tray mechanism would go a long way, but would obviously add to the cost here. So interesting product. Certainly something I think that will be getting reviewed at Half Wheel at some point. So La Aroma de Cuba, Connecticut. This is a cigar that is shipping. I believe it started shipping this week. It is a new cigar from Ashton. Follow-up, obviously, to the very popular La Aroma de Cuba line that they sell. Like the regular La Aroma de Cuba, it's made by my father, the Garcia family in Nicaragua. He uses an Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapper over Nicaraguan tobaccos from the Garcia family. It's available in the same sizes or the same sort of core sizes as the regular La Aroma de Cuba. I believe at the same prices, so a sub $10 line. This is, I think, the second cigar we've mentioned so far, or the third cigar we've mentioned that's got a Connecticut wrapper, or at least a Connecticut seed wrapper. And I think it's important to understand that, like, Connecticut wrappers get pigeonholed a lot of times as being the mild cigars, the cigars for beginners, cigars for newbies. But first of all, they've scored very well at Half Wheel. Some of them have at times. We've given out Cigar of the Year to Connecticut wrap cigars. Some of my favorite cigars from companies that you wouldn't necessarily think of, like one of my favorite Taiwahis to date is the Gabawan WDC 120, a tiny little petite Corona Connecticut shade wrapper. But that market's just so much larger than the market for, say, Connecticut broadleaf wrapped Nicaraguan cigars. And so it's interesting to see Ashton, who's got sort of one of the ubiquitous Connecticut's, the Ashton Classic, adding another Connecticut line there. But a reminder that there's a lot of dollars to be made here when it comes to these Connecticut shade cigars.
All right, next up, we've got the McAuliffe Black. Now, after focusing primarily on medium body blends, McAuliffe has a new release that is quite a bit stronger. In fact, the company says it will be one of its strongest yet. Features a blend made up of a Mexican San Andreas wrapper covering Ecuadorian Habano binder and filler tobaccos from Nicaragua. Only two different vitolas a 5x52 Robusto priced at $7, and a 6x52 Toro priced at $8. All the cigars are scheduled to launch at select events this month before getting a larger release after the PCA show, and they are packaged in 25-count boxes.
Cool.
All right. Next up, Stallone Mustang. Now, this is a new line from
Did you
Stallone.
almost mispronounce Mustang?
What's that?
Were you about to mispronounce Mustang?
It's possible.
Yikes.
This is a new line from Stallone Cigars that will debut in 2 sizes, but there's a catch. Each of the sizes will actually have a different wrapper. Same blend inside, but different wrapper. The Rothschild measures 4.5 by 50, incorporates an Ecuadorian Sumatra Escura wrapper, while the 5.5 by 50 Short Toro uses a natural Ecuadorian Sumatra wrapper. Both cigars have the same 2 binder leaves, Nicaragua and Brazil, and both cigars use the same filler tobaccos grown in Nicaragua. The Rothschild will retail for $5.45, and the Mustang Short Toro will sell for $5.99. Both
So,
cigars.
both cigars are going to end up retailing it for like $5.70 at most retailers. How this is going to work out?
I just need to be easier, right?
Yeah.
Both cigars will be sold in bundles of 25, but the retailers
Never mind.
will have a
It's display tray.
will have an option of getting a wooden tray that holds 50 cigars of each size if they desire. Both cigars are scheduled to begin shipping to retailers right after the show PCA show concludes. And as an added note, Charlie,
Did your mic stop working?
I forgot what I was going to say. So no added note for you. Sorry.
All right, and finally, it's the Villiger 1888 Nicaragua.
Getting old.
And this is not a new cigar entirely. It was shown off and is on sale right now in Germany and Switzerland. It was shown off last year at the Intertobacco Trade Show in Dortmund, Germany. And this is a new cigar or a new blend from Villiger's relatively new factory in Nicaragua, which is an interesting factory because Villiger owns it, but it is operated by Hoy de Nicaragua. And if you're a regular reader of Half Wheel, you know that very few factories have earned as much praise from us over the last 5 years than Hoy de Nicaragua. So I'm curious to see kind of what these newer Villiger blends are. There has certainly been a change at Villiger, where in the last few years they have gone after trying to make, I think, more modern profile cigars. Obviously, their core business in Europe is selling a lot of smaller cigars. They do very, very well with that. It's not really ever caught on seemingly here in the U.S., but they obviously have the premium handmade division, and that has kind of ebbed and flowed here in the U.S. But they have started working with other manufacturers. So they have like the TA series here in the U.S. where they have used, I think, 3 different manufacturers for the first 3 releases. Lazona did one of them, EPC did one of them, and Plasencia, I think, did the other one. And so it's nice to see that they're, sort of going out of their wheelhouse and introducing new blends with other factories. And then they have this, new factory, a relatively new factory in Nicaragua with Hoya, who I would say is doing a really good job of making cigars these days. So I don't remember if I smoked this in Dortmund last year. I didn't get very much sleep due to jet lag the entire time I was there. And congratulations to Schalke for your finish in the Bundesliga. So that is the preview. Q&A time. We do have a few questions that aren't related to microphone issues. So we will take...
but feel free to leave more.
Yeah.
We may not get to them.
We're going to... I think we can kind of do this one because the other question from Dan underneath this is we'll address entirely.
Are we having a whole show about that?
Fully. Well, no, but like, who are you guys excited to see at this year's PCA?
Oh, it says who?
Yeah.
Who am I excited to see?
I mean, look, I'm always excited to see we don't, quite frankly, see as many people as I would think a lot of you expect here in Dallas. So it's nice to see most of these people because usually I see a lot of these people 2 or 3 times a year. It's always, quite frankly, nice to catch up with a lot of the media members as well because we don't see them as much. And it's also seasonal. We see them a lot usually in Q1 during the festivals and TPE, and then don't see them again usually until PCA. But I would say the things that always stand out for me are like seeing the suppliers. So seeing the tobacco growers, whether it's somebody like Jeremiah Muirfeld, who's obviously now in this selling cigar business, somebody like Fritz Bosser, who Brooks and I have gotten to know quite well from Universal Leaf, David Perez from ASP. Those people are always interesting to me because they tend to not necessarily be as open about how things are going via email or text, but in person you can kind of ask them how it's going on the very much the ground level. In terms of like companies and booths, curious to see what El Septimo's booth looks like this year. The last two have been pretty outrageous, so expectations are high there, and certainly that's become a company that's getting talked about a lot amongst its competitors. I don't know about that. I mean, I think everything else is kind of like standard fare. I mean, I'm a bit curious to see the Altadas. Like, do they have a barber or a golf simulator or something else? Brooks?
I think we do something else, wouldn't there? I mean,
I would think so.
No, I'd just go with you. Yeah, what you said is perfect.
Cool. And my broken microphone. All right, so next week I will probably have a new microphone. We'll be back in the same time and same place. We will answer Dan's other question that he had underneath this. This question. That's what the Lame Duck Show, part of why I think the Lame Duck Show has its title. So next year's trade show is going to be in March. It's a very large change for the PCA. And we're going to talk about that and kind of what that means for this year's show, as well as some other things. Don't know what we're doing on the 16th. And on the 23rd, we will do the 10 products that we are looking forward to most, although it'll be an interesting list given kind of how early we're going to be doing that show. But same time and place. Thank you guys for sitting through the audio issues. Hopefully we'll figure it out next week and probably have camera issues instead. Yesterday was camera issues, so can't win them all. Anything else, Brooks?
No.
Sweet. All right. Thank you, guys. Oh, I'm supposed to do one more thing.
Got to do the...
Half Wheel's coverage of the 2023 PCA Convention and Trade Show is brought to you by Rocky Patel.